Welcome to ThinkTech on OC16, Hawaii's weekly newscast on things that matter to tech and to Hawaii. I'm Jay Fidel.
And I'm Donna Blanchard.
In our show this time, we'll check in at the Iolani School and talk to the students who are about to go to the annual Ritsumeikein Super Science Fair.
Every year, Ritsumeikein University in Kyoto, Japan hosts the fair and invites super science kids to attend from all over the world.
The Iolani team includes 1 senior, 1 junior, and 3 sophomores. To be selected, they had to submit transcripts, write essays, get recommendations, and take interviews. It's like applying for college.
The team members are Pasha Hokama, Raphael Lee, James Gushikuma, Christopher Lindsay, and Marissa Barling.
In Kyoto, they'll make a science and poster presentation about their project, which is a study on the white-tip reef shark. It's called Sharks, Friend or Foe. They'll also do a cultural presentation about Hawaii.
So we went to see them and find out what they were doing. We caught up with them on the 3rd floor of the Sullivan Science Center at Iolani.
First, they showed us their science and poster presentation in the seminar room at the center, especially including the white-tip shark dive data they had gathered in their dives off Makai Pier.
We are the Japan Super Science Fair team from Iolani School, Honolulu, Hawaii, United States of America. Our team members are Raphael Lee, James Gushikuma, Marissa Barling, Pasha Hokama, and myself, Christopher Lindsay. And today we'd like to present our cumulative research on the white-tip reef shark. The name of our research project is Shark, Friend or Foe, an observational study of the white-tip reef shark, Trianodon obesis.
Sharks to you and me are viewed as menacing monsters. We asked students around our school what sharks mean to them. Our Japan Super Science Fair team strive to conduct a research project free from the misconception of shark aggression. We designed and built an underwater time-lapse camera system in order to study the behavior of white-tip reef sharks in their natural environments.
Our team studied white-tip reef sharks with the scientific name of Trianodon obesis and Hawaiian name of Mauna-lalakea. What makes these sharks unique from other sharks is their ability to respire while lying motionless on the ocean floor, while most other sharks need to swim around constantly in order to breathe.
After trying many different methods of taking time-lapse pictures, we decided to use a Raspberry Pi microcomputer connected to a small camera board in order to take our time-lapse pictures due to the Raspberry Pi's battery efficiency and small size. In order to make our apparatus waterproof so that we would be able to observe the white-tip reef sharks, we constructed a pressure housing made of aluminum and acrylic. Later on in our experiment, we wanted to look at the sharks through multiple days straight, including the nighttime, so we had to design a lighting system in order to light up the sharks during their active period, which is the night because the sharks are nocturnal. So we soldered 66 LED light bulbs onto a perf board and connected that to another D-cell battery pack, which we put in a separate aluminum housing as shown in the bottom right here.
After we finalized our camera apparatus, we went on to launch 3 deployments at Makai Research Pier near Makapu'u Point. We lowered the camera apparatus with this crane as seen in the picture right next to the pier's piling. This deployment was a success as we collected over 500 images.
In our second deployment, we were able to witness the normal behavior of sharks as they rested motionless in the cave. Immediately after the second deployment, however, the apparatus altered the shark's natural habitat, causing the sharks to leave the cave for a long period of time. In our third deployment, we were able to witness the close-range interaction between humans and sharks. When our team members swam near the cave to check on the camera, the shark was agitated by the human's presence as shown here. Incidents such as these indicated that perhaps sharks, instead of posing threats on humans, are rather sensitive to human behavior. Here's some interesting photos that we were able to obtain from our deployments. On the top left-hand side, we see the shadow of a sea turtle poking its head through the shark cave that we took our pictures in. On the bottom left-hand side, there's a bird's eye view of sea turtles, and on the right-hand side, that's actually 2 sharks, 2 white-tip reef sharks from a bird's eye view, which one is hidden underneath a rock, and the other, this is from the shark cave that we took our deployments in Makai Pier.
Despite the misconception that sharks always present a deathly danger towards humans, there is no signs of shark aggression present in our data. Instead, our data revealed the sharks as generally calm and inactive toward the bustling marine life around them. Our team also discovered that the sharks were very sensitive to foreign intruders, such as the presence of humans and our camera apparatus. Therefore, our data supports that sharks may not be the menacing monsters humans perceive them as.
Our observations revealed that not all sharks are aggressive. They are relatively docile creatures sensitive to the environments around them. Since we learned that sharks do not always pose a deadly threat to humans, we know that we are their worst enemies, and it is also our responsibility to protect them. What can you do? Educate yourself and support organizations like Save Our Sharks, No Fin in the Bowl, and Fin Free. Also, do not purchase products that have sharks in them, like certain lipsticks and soaps. Who knows, maybe you could be using a product that has shark in it and not even know. Most importantly, don't eat shark fin soup, even though it can taste really good. If we do not preserve our depleting shark population, we may never be able to reinstate them into the roles of our environments again.
Actually, some of the team went into the hole with the sharks. The good news is they all came out in one piece, very enthusiastic about diving with the sharks for their project. No team members were lost or injured in this project.
They found that although everyone is afraid of sharks, there's no good reason to be afraid of white-tip reef sharks. They found that white-tip reef sharks are more afraid of us than we are of them, and will avoid human contact whenever possible.
And they showed us the poster they made about the project.
And they told us about the time-lapse camera they made. It was used in a U.S. Army project on the nerve gas that was dumped into the ocean off Oahu after the Second World War, and to study its effects on the sea life there.
We interviewed the kids and Dr. Margot Edwards, principal investigator, about the project.
I'm really excited to go and see what they have to share with us. I'm excited because it's a new school. I would be excited to go to the old school, but I heard they rebuilt the whole thing, and we heard from our homestay families that it's a really great school and we'll be staying in the new dorms.
I'm very excited to experience new cultures, not just the Japanese culture, but also cultures from schools representing 19 countries.
Well, one of the greatest things about this International Science Fair and science in general is in science, there's not really any prejudice against other countries. You're all there in the pursuit of new knowledge.
I think that we'll meet a lot of new people and we'll get to, see how their project is, and I think we'll have a great time together. So I want to, even after we come back from Japan, I want to keep that friendship.
This project is kind of like our family, and the members are like our family as well. So we're all like one big thing that we can, if somebody can't speak up for themselves or if somebody can't answer it for 1 second, then another person can help them.
One thing that makes our project unique is that we're the only students who had the opportunity to actually study sharks in the Hawaiian waters.
A really great opportunity we had was working with Dr. Edwards and the great projects she already had with time-lapse camera and extreme deep sea observations of the animals that live down there.
I think another thing that makes our project different than the other countries' projects maybe is our conservation aspect. We have learned so much about sharks and how their population is depleting, and we need to preserve their populations in our world.
Like the people that we homestayed that visited from Japan, they all thought that our project was really cool and unique, and they've never really learn anything about sharks before.
Sharks, we studied them, and now that we know the truth, they're not scary animals. They're just creatures just like us. And that's what I find the beauty about science. It puts a new face to things that we already consider to be true. And that's because that we assume that it is, and it's because we hope that it is in a sense. But if you actually take a step back and then analyze it through scientific means, you can find new things that you never thought of before.
I really enjoy science, and I feel that it's great because unlike other subjects, you can actually find out new things and you can design your own experiments.
I want to definitely pursue science and continue, especially with this project, as we had our recent deployment with Dr. Edwards on the Department of the Army's ship. I think it's a great opportunity to continue observations of marine life, because not just with sharks, but there's other animals like brisingents that people don't know a lot about.
I really think designing your own experiment and then having your experiment work, you get a sense of euphoria that you wouldn't have if you learn a new thing about history. You just won't get that like you do with science.
For me, science isn't just about making or finding new discoveries, it's also about what we can contribute to the community.
I am euphoric about this project, and particularly this time-lapse camera part of this project. So just to tell you the funny story, I'm not a really superstitious person, but when it comes back up on deck, the engineer that we've been working with, Mark Ronstadt, my thing is I'm going to go in my room and let me know. I can't stand there. I get so nervous. I can't actually stand there when they're taking the little chip out to see if they got the data. And then once I got the good news, it's like, okay, all right, let me see what's going on. But I'm very nervous. I'm more worried about what's happening with this student project than I am with my own project. So when we got these pictures, I was ecstatic. On sort of the mentoring level, I'm very much trying to find some of the best brains in the state of Hawaii and get them very interested in doing research that keeps them in the state of Hawaii, protecting the state of Hawaii. That's very key to me. On the other hand, part of the reason that the camera was deployed where it was because the last two time-lapse cameras that we deployed looked specifically at munitions, and we didn't really have a comparison of what's normal behavior if you're not on a munition, right? So their camera was deployed at a location where the sea stars were crawling around on rocks, right? And that allows us to be able to answer some scientific questions while still getting them a tremendous data set that they're going to be able to do a lot with. In addition to what they're going to be able to see with sea stars, we saw a lot of other animals that we didn't see on the munitions in the coral, where it was an old coral boulder. I think it probably came from when they were doing some digging, or maybe getting the material for the reef runway. It's not a natural formation, but it's been dumped out in the middle of nowhere, and we saw a lot more animals in their data than we saw in either of the two previous data sets. I don't know if they recognize it yet, but one of the things that I hope this project has helped them overcome is their fear of taking risk. I don't think that they're afraid of taking risk as much as they might have been. And I'm not just talking about swimming with sharks. I'm talking about putting a camera that they've fabricated down at 50 to 60 times the atmospheric pressure, and it might not come back up. So that's 10 months worth of work that you don't get any data from. That's a real fear that I think that they probably face just as much as I did. There have been little failures all along the way that they've learned to step through and overcome. I mean, we haven't really talked about it, but when we deployed the camera the first time, remember we looked in the window and we saw water and we pulled it right back up and we resealed things and we put it over, and then their first frame sort of chattered along the seabed as the current was picking it up, and so they had to pick it up. And there were a series of small mistakes, and even this last deployment, the window imploded a little bit, not enough that things flooded. It imploded a little bit, and I suspect if I asked them to redesign the camera frame tomorrow, they'd do it. And so I do see that confidence that, okay, here's an issue. It's not a mistake, it's a problem, and we can come up with a way to solve it. I'd love to see more emphasis on science fair. You and I have talked about this. If it were up to me, science fair would rank right up there with the football championships. I think that this is something that's really important for every state, but certainly for Hawaii. We are the ocean state. Apologies to Rhode Island, but we are the ones who are going to answer all of these huge looming questions about acidification, sea level rise. We're there. There's so much here in Hawaii that is unique, that we can answer so many important questions if we can find a way to make it feasible to live and answer those questions, right? Right now, we do so well with our doctors and our lawyers and our dentists in Hawaii. We need to do well with our scientists. The problems that we're dealing with now are too big for me, and too big for the next 20 years or whatever of my career until I retire. This is the hope of the state and the nation.
And we are so incredibly fortunate to have Dr. Margot Edwards helping us with this underwater project. And she's so good at what she does, and we are so fortunate to have her a great mentor and a great role model for those people that want to get into ocean science.
This is our 5th year of this Ritsumeikein Iolani exchange program for the Super Science Fair. They're presenting at the Japan Super Science Fair. And it has just every year metamorphosized into something so interesting for both my husband and I, who have had the privileges to advise these teams. But, always the major challenge is finding the mentor with the passion.
Then they showed us their cultural presentation. It went all the way from Hawaiian native chants to a Bruno Mars song and dance. Remember, he's from Hawaii. They also did a parody of Elvis Presley's Rock-a-Hula Baby in Blue Hawaii.
We are the Japan Super Science Fair team from Iolani School, Honolulu, Hawaii, United States of America. E ho mai e ho mai kai ke mai luna mai e o na mea huna noe a o na mele e ho mai e ho mai e ho mai e. Find yourself stuck in the middle of the sea, I'll sail the world to find you. And if you ever find yourself lost in the dark and you can't see, I'll be the light to guide you. Oh, oh. Find out what we're made of. Will we all call to help our friends in need? 'Cause that's what friends are supposed to do, oh yeah. Ooh, ooh, 'cause I can count on you.
Team member James Gushikuma played Elvis. The miracle here is that the team couldn't sing or dance at all when they started preparing. Now look at them. Real pros, all for science.
The team is leaving in a few days and will be back in mid-November. They'll stay in Kyoto and spend some time in a homestay with local families. They'll take lots of tours and get immersed in Japan's history and culture. It'll be great.
The Super Science Fair is comparative rather than competitive. The participants focus on coming together to share science and to meet science kids from all around the world. It's a real eye-opener for them, and Iolani kids have been going to the fair for the past 5 years.
This trip is a remarkable experience for these kids because of the science they will be exposed to, the work they will do together, the places they will see, and the people and friends they will meet. It always works that way, and it always leaves a profound effect on the kids involved.
The Super Science Fair is only one of many science activities available to the kids in Hawaii in both public and private schools. There are huge opportunities available for our kids to learn science, including the State Science Fair.
If you'd like to interest your kids or kids you know in science careers, or if you'd like to build a science industry in Hawaii, encourage those kids to be involved in activities like this.
And how about participating yourself and being a volunteer or mentor for student science activities in Hawaii? They need us, and in the end, we also definitely need them.
And now let's take a look at our ThinkTech calendar of events going forward.
ThinkTech broadcasts video for all of our talk shows live on the internet from 1 to 5 p.m. every weekday afternoon. If you missed a show or want to replay or share any show, they're all archived on YouTube.
Visit thinktechhawaii.com for our live stream and YouTube links, or to join our email list and get these links and program advisories on our upcoming shows.
We also invite you to be part of our live audience in our downtown studio in Pioneer Plaza. Contact Jay at thinktechhawaii.com. Raise your awareness in every way on ThinkTech.
ThinkTech will present its 15th anniversary celebration at 5 to 7:30 p.m. on Thursday, December 11th at the downtown Laniakea YWCA. We're calling it ThinkTech United.
This will provide an opportunity for our hosts, guests, moderators, and speakers to reunite. And all of our viewers, listeners, supporters, and friends are also invited to unite. Come join us and be a part of it on December 11th. For further details and to sign up to attend, visit thinktechhawaii.com.
And now, here's this week's ThinkTech commentary.
I'm Donna Blanchard, and this is a ThinkTech commentary. I'd like to talk about being gay. I sometimes forget that there's any stigma attached to differences in sexual identity. Granted, I live in the United States, where people are not legally persecuted for sexual identity, and more states are recognizing gay marriage. I also live in Hawaii, a relatively progressive, liberal state. I also live in a world of theater in downtown Honolulu, in the bosom of artists, patrons of the arts, and business persons too busy to give a rap about who's holding hands with whom. So when Apple's CEO, Tim Cook, came out, my first thought was, so? Well, shame on me. I'm jaded. I forget that I grew up as a member of the accepted majority. I have no idea what it might be like to not identify with just about every romance circulated in the general public. I don't know what it's like to wonder if I'm going to attract negative attention if I hold hands with my significant other in public, and I have certainly never worried if I announce to the world that I'm a heterosexual woman, will people start boycotting my business. I also have known and worked with openly gay people since my teens. If there is anyone in my circle of friends and coworkers who doesn't accept non-heteros, well, if they exist, they don't speak up about it. Tim Cook said this: I don't consider myself an activist, but I realize how much I've benefited from the sacrifices of others. So if hearing that the CEO of Apple is gay can help someone struggling to come to terms with who she or he is, or bring comfort to anyone who feels alone, or inspire people to insist on their equality, then it's worth the trade-off with my own privacy. Thank you, Mr. Cook. It still seems absurd to me that anyone should feel the need to come out or announce which sex attracts them, but I really appreciate the privacy you just gave up. I hope there are no negative repercussions for you or your company, and I hope your statement does make it easier for others to accept and respect their personal biology, as well as the biology of their neighbors, coworkers, brothers and sisters, sons and daughters. You know how if you see the same commercial over and over again, you eventually become numb to it? You don't even notice it anymore? I wonder if we all start stating our sexual identity, we'll eventually become numb to that as well. Could we move to the opposite extreme of don't ask, don't tell, and exhaust our judgment to the point of recognizing the absurdity of it? I'm Donna Blanchard. I'm hetero, and this has been a ThinkTech commentary.
We'll be right back to wrap up this week's edition of ThinkTech. But first, we want to thank our underwriters. Okay, Donna, that wraps up this week's edition of ThinkTech. Remember, you can watch ThinkTech on OC16 several times every week. Can't get enough of it, just like Duke Oishi does. For additional times, check out oc16.tv.
Definitely, Jay. And for lots more ThinkTech videos and for underwriting and sponsorship opportunities on ThinkTech on OC16, visit thinktechhawaii.com. Be a guest or volunteer, a producer or intern, and help us reach Hawaii.
Thanks so much for joining us on ThinkTech and for supporting tech, energy, diversification, and globalism in Hawaii. You can watch this show throughout the week and tune in next Sunday evening for our next important weekly episode. I'm Jay Fidel.
I'm Donna Blanchard. Aloha, everyone.
Ow, ow.